Greetings and welcome to Nathan Nile Official. For those of you who have never seen my face in a video before, my name is Nathan Nile. This is my personal channel where I do vlogs, reviews, and all kind of things, just whatever catches my fancy. This video I actually was planning to do it on Saturday, decided not to because I'd rather get some sleep because it was going to be a busy weekend with taxes and meetings and just other shit going on. And shockingly, got home shockingly early from work today. Because we're in the busy period where you can normally expect to get home like 1 o'clock every morning. But I think we had like half of our covers canceled, and the ones who did show up all got here early. And so, yeah, I'm home and I decided to go ahead and film this video because there is a lot I want to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is this. This is a notification from the Copyright Office. You know what it's a notification of? This got approved. I had almost forgotten about this. Toxic, Volume 1. Written by Nathan Nile Cunningham. Drawn by Guy Harder. So here it is. It's my book. It's available. I'm going to do another video officially announcing the sale. There's an issue with distribution. Here's the thing. I paid the money. We're going to make sure this shit gets out there. It's just, for some reason, right now, it's not showing up in stores. So we'll see, we'll see what's going on with that. But hopefully, yeah. So yeah. I got this, and I'm not wearing pants, so I forgot I can't get up to walk over there. So yeah, I've still got my autobiography, Everything's Impossible, and now I've got this. We're gonna do 4. Book 2 is already done. Book 3 is almost completed, and we're gonna try to rush through Book 4 as much as possible. And so, yeah, we're gonna do the first 4 this year, and then we're gonna take a break. Because Guy says he wants to work on some of his own stuff, and me personally, I am mentally exhausted. These past 2 years have been hell, and that was the easy part. Then comes distribution, getting this thing made, and now getting it out into the world so y'all can actually pay for it. So yeah, we're almost done. We're at the last step, and it's just like, no, What's taking you guys so long? It should be up there already. But yeah, here it is. And this is one of the oldest characters I've ever created. This is one of the first stories I ever wrote. I mean, his name is Oscar Mireles. He's mixed. He's got a lot of different stuff in there. A lot of Central and South American blood, some European stuff as well. But for the most part, his father, born and raised in Puerto Rico, so he claims Puerto Rican ancestry. And, there's a lot going on with him. I want to tell you that his origin is that if you haven't read Everything's Impossible, I talk about him a lot because I wrote that book fully planning to make this happen. Like, they were both happening at the same time. And so yeah, he started out basically as fan fiction. I loved Spawn growing up. I loved the comics. I loved the movies. I loved the TV show. And if there was a video game, I never played it, but I want to. As far as I know, it didn't exist. But if it did, then why the hell did I not know about it? Seriously, if there is a Spawn video game, someone tell me about it. And if there's not, make one. That needs to happen. And then, yeah, I just fell in love with Spawn so instantly. There aren't a lot of badass black characters. There are some, but they're not all. But not all. Like, I've never been a huge fan of most of the black characters in DC. Like Cyborg, it depends. Some iterations are great, others not so much. John Stewart, for the most part, never liked that guy. He's the most boring of all the Green Lanterns. But yeah. Trying to make a long story as short as possible, which is very much impossible for me. This character is an amalgamation of so many of the favorites that I grew up loving. Spawn, Spider-Man, Batman, Hulk. There are so many different things that influenced into this character, went into who he ended up being as a person. And his story starts, when he's 16 years old, and his origin story focuses on. I mean, if we're being honest, book one is his origin story. It explains how he got his powers, why he started fighting, and then there are 12 more books after that. So, 13 for this one. Honestly, if we did the entire story, even as a monthly comic, it would take like 40 years to get through it. Because I've written 7 seasons for him. And by written, I mean like I've planned it out. I've got some like rough outlines. And so like so season 1, roughly estimated, would be about 60 books. So even with a monthly comic, season 1 would take 5 years to get through. And then there are 7 seasons plus spin-offs and some one-off stories and a sequel that has 2 seasons planned out. There's a possibility that if I don't get super famous, then no one will ever really know how the story was supposed to end, unless I'm famous enough that someone decides to look through my laptop and see the stuff that I wrote. But yeah, the origin story that we're starting with is 13 books, but we're only going to do the first 4 today, this year. And then 2021, I don't plan on anything coming out. It might not, but it's not. But for now, the plan is, no, we're going to do these 4 books, plus I've got one more fiction book that's pretty much done already. It's just more, I mean, there's going to be more edits, more tweaking, trying to perfect it, make it as perfect as possible. But for the most part, the story is what it is. But yeah, we're waiting for that one. And yeah, there's definitely some satisfaction that this is my comic that I wrote. I created this character, and now here it is. The first Nathan Lyle comic book ever printed, holding it in my hands. And I'm gonna buy like one of those sleeves just for this. I don't read a lot of comics anymore, and when I do, it's almost all digital. So I'm gonna have to buy a sleeve, put this in, preserve it. Because like 300 years from now, it could be worth like $20. So yeah. Did not even know. Well, that's one thing to be looking forward to. Also, I'm gonna do a new series on here because I have a lot of fan fiction, and that also depends on how you define fan fiction. Because fan fiction is basically anything not written by an official author of the thing. But here's the thing: a lot of the things that I've written, they technically qualify as fan fiction. I don't consider them fan fiction because one day I hope to make money off of some of them. But there are some things that, oh yeah, this is totally fan fiction, and I want to start sharing those with y'all. I've never published any of it because a lot of stuff that I write, like Toxic and some of the other stories I have, where it's like, oh, this started as a fan fiction of this TV show. And then I realized I have something special here, and just take out all the elements of that, rework this into something new. But there are some things I'm not able to do that with. And there are some things like with comic book storylines, like, Spider-Man and Batman, like, hey, who knows? If I end up in Marvel's head offices someday, I might be able to pitch my Spider-Man story and get it actually published. So, still don't want to do those. But there are some things like Dragon Ball Z. I have a character I invented for Dragon Ball Z that I know very little chance it ever exists. I mean, for one, it is so heavily tied in to the Dragon Ball franchise and all of the characters and stuff that in order to remove it, I'd have to rewrite the entire thing, basically with this character as the lead. And his story very much mirrors a lot of the stuff that Goku and the others are already going through anyways. So it's just very, it's not necessarily impossible, but it's a lot more work than I actually feel like doing. So I'm going to start doing some fan fiction videos, and the first one I'm going to do is telling you the story of a character I invented for Dragon Ball Z, and how he fits into their universe, and how he changes the story a little. It'll be fun, I promise. Why does it feel like my nose gets stuffed up every time I turn on this camera? Also, work's been bugging me. That's what I didn't do. I usually look at my phone before I record these so that I know what I'm supposed to talk about, but I don't know where I left my phone. But yeah, I know work has been bugging me. Thankfully, it's at a point where, like, there are a lot of things I'm not doing, specifically because I know no one will yell at me for not doing them. And if they ever do yell at me for not doing them, then that's my entire defense is going to be like, hey, the only reason I started doing it is because y'all stopped yelling at me. So I started doing this because I knew I could get away with doing this. So really, it's on you. Yeah. And it's weird to think that. But yeah, that's just one thing I'm totally prepared for. Like, I'm ready for them to come at me with some bullshit, and just so I can turn it right back on their asses, because it is entirely their fault. And unfortunately, there's one person, we'll call him Trevor, and if Trevor were to be fired, we might have a chance. We might have a chance of fixing things, but it's weird to think that one person can come in and just change the entire culture of how we do things. Because this one person, their main goal is just to get the fuck out of there as soon as possible. And he just doesn't listen to you when you tell him that's not how we do things. He just does it his way. And then you have to find ways to walk around him. And it's just, we've just somehow had to learn to adjust to him. Now, if it was me, I'd have either told him you do it our way or you leave. And hopefully he quits so I don't have to fire him. But yeah, long story short, good chance he wouldn't have lasted this long, or we'd have beaten him into submission by now. But that's not how everyone else does things. Plus, like, I'd like to believe I could be that much of a hard ass. I can't guarantee I actually would be, but I'd like to believe. But yeah, just kind of have to accept the fact that this is the new normal for us here. And I've discovered something I learned in therapy, is that so many of the things I am as a person are heavily connected to what I experienced as a child. You know, we learn the rules of the world from the people we live with. And one thing that I realized why I get so pissed off at work is because it reminds me of my childhood. Like, at home, my grandmother made up whatever rules she needed to have an excuse to beat my ass. You know, even if I did nothing wrong, she would find something that she could say was wrong. And that's kind of what it feels like now at my new job. They make up whatever rules they need to at that time. And so I'm expected to just keep, you know, bending to their whim, and and this explains why I'm so anal just in life in general. Like, this is the rule. That's it. And it's because, like, I'm kind of rebelling against her still. It's like, well, this is the rule unless this, unless this, unless this. And it's like, and like, then it reaches a point where, like, if it's not set in stone, then it's technically not a rule as much as a suggestion. So, you know, if that's the case, I don't technically have to do it. And so it's become one of those things where, like, hey, there are a lot of times when they tell me to do something and I won't, and my justification is that's not the rule. Then there are also times when I know I'm supposed to do something and then I don't, and my justification is, where is the rule written down? Because there are a lot of things that I have done in the past that not technically a rule as much as, someone else didn't want to do it, so it got pushed onto me. And now I've decided, fuck it, I'm not just not going to do it. Because technically, not my job. Cheers. Yeah, I've reached the point that I honestly want someone to start some shit so I can get the fuck away from there. It's good pay, and it's a very comfortable place. But I know I don't belong there anymore. Like, I've worn out my welcome. And I've reached the point that, like, I really want them to, like, dig in on something. And, because I've told them before, you guys need me a lot more than I need you. I do have other options. They're not great options. There's a reason I have stayed here. But I do have other options. Quit on Saturday, I'll have a new job by Tuesday. Them, on the other hand, you'll be another 5 years before you find another me. So, but yeah. Anyways, that's my life right now. Like I said, we're gonna get on that distribution thing, get it figured out. We're gonna release the books, since there are 4 of them, we're gonna release them seasonally. So this one's coming out, it's winter right now. Then we're gonna release another one in spring, another one in summer, another one in fall. And then that'll be it for a while. And somewhere in there, we're also gonna release another book. Another fiction book, which I don't know if I can say the name yet. And so yeah, I don't know, I can't think of anything else. Just keep an eye out for the official release. And, yeah. Oh shit, still going. My bad.